All right, we have a very special guest with us today. Not a stranger to a lot of you, and he's really been making his waves down in the low country of South Carolina with his wonderful group known as Best Friends of Low Country Transit, where he is the leader of, and they work to bring transportation in the South Carolina Low Country into a future which offers efficient mobility and makes the auto optional for everyone. And what better person to lead this group but someone who studies law and has been a member of the South Carolina Bar since 1985. Everyone, please welcome William Hamilton of Best Friends of Low Country Transit.
I'd like to thank everybody in this group for your moral support over the years. There are months where this is the only positive interaction we have. We, like many places in the South, have a plantation transportation system, which is designed to haul people to poor-paying jobs and make sure they can't do anything else, particularly like go to a difficult meeting in the evening, which might make Mass's life difficult later on. And so there are times when the support of this group means a great deal to us, and we're happy to make our contributions when we can. Y'all certainly pushed us to try new things, and we enjoy being able to tell people what we're trying, and we're certainly headed out of the box at the moment.
Absolutely.
Our organization got started and unofficially back on Facebook in about 2009, though I'd been writing about the importance of public transit for 25 years. I'm legally blind. I've never been able to drive, and I've been riding public transit off and on since 1977. Now, my first public transit experience was either having a blow-by from a SCE&G bus in 1978 when I tried to go downtown on the bus because only black people rode the bus back then. So a white kid sitting on a bus stop bench because just must be there by mistake. Or it was getting on the monorail at Disney World in 1973. And I suspect the reason that I'm still around is the monorail. I mean, it's Disney does an incredible job with transportation. And that was a positive experience, but I'm going to try to take you through some of the stuff that we've done here. Layla, someone's joined us. Please introduce yourself. Hello?
Oh, that's you.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to try to share the screen now and go over. Let's see. So many different ways to do things. Okay. I should get the view up. I'm very nearsighted, which is why I ride the bus. Okay. All right. Well, this looks promising. Is this working for y'all? I mean, does it look okay on your end? I've got pictures in the middle of mine, but I've already seen it. So our logo is derived from two of the iconic things we're connected with. One is the Arthur Ravenel Bridge, which was built about 15 years ago and is the most expensive transportation project in the history of South Carolina. It has towers that are 500 feet tall, and it crosses Charleston Harbor. It's notable for having a very nice pedestrian walkway, which my friends in the cycling community fought for and won. It's called Wonders Way, and it's named after Garrick Wonders, the fastest South Carolinian ever to get on a bicycle, who was run over and killed by a one-eyed man in a pickup truck when he was preparing for the Olympics. On the opposite side of the image, on the left side, we have the Best Friend of Charleston, which was the first passenger railroad engine in the southern United States, and at one time was part of the longest railroad system in the world. It ran from Charleston, South Carolina to Branchville. And people locally know what these things mean, and we get a very good reaction to our logo, and we put it on a lot of things. No, okay. What is that? No. Am I going the wrong way? Well, definitely going the wrong way, but that's okay. That's the end. Well, that's not what we wanted to do. The controls are down there. I got it now. Okay. All right, this is a picture of the actual Best Friend of Charleston with two of our most dedicated staff members in it. In green is our Rosa Parks. That is Louise Brown, she was part of the original civil rights movement in Charleston in the 1960s, participated in the MUSC hospital strike, and she is a dedicated member of our organization, not as busy as bad as she used to be, but a very solid and dedicated worker. And next to her is Carol Dodderer, who actually has a Confederate general among her ancestors, and whose ancestors helped run that railroad back in the 19th century. And these two ladies have been with us, working with us for over 8 years. And in the background is the Best Friend of Charleston, which began operation in 1830 and was blown up about 6 months later. But it was replaced, and it's familiar to most people. And when we bring people into our organization, we take them down, then we talk about the train and how hard it was for the train to get started, and how small things can move big things if we have determination. And it's quite the production. And I do this, and we tell people think the train is our mystic source power. We are also associated with a political action committee, which is fully separate from Best Friends of Low Country Charleston, called Low Country Up is Good. It works on these 5 issues, and that's a political organization. It does get involved in campaigns, whereas Best Friends does not. Notable on this flag is the moon. Obviously, the blue part of this flag echoes the South Carolina flag with the solidarity fist in place of the palmetto tree. When we were putting this flag together, Mary Smith had at one time would dress up as a transit ferry, and her costume was based on the colors of the engine. And she would go around and talk to kids and all at farmers markets and all. It was sort of a cross between Tinkerbell and Wonder Woman. And she was very good at it. It sounds laughable, but it wasn't. And she had a chariot. When we put her in parade, she was pulled by 2 bare-chested men, rickshaw style. And she had a 250-watt sound system on the back that she could control with her iPhone. But unfortunately, she became very ill with an autoimmune illness. When we were drawing up this flag, she had already turned in her wings and given up the work, which made everyone sad, particularly her. But when I was looking for a moon to put on the flag, I saw that moon with a fairy on it. And I decided to remember Mary's contribution to our organization by putting Mary on the moon. And she died 2 days later. She saw this design right before she died, and she said that she loved it. And so we carry that around. And that is when the conservatives in the Low Country see that flag, they know they are in for a teeth-bared fight. Our greatest achievement as an organization is and the greatest folly, I suppose, is the 2016 transit referendum. Amalgamated Transit Union gave us $125,000 and worth of staff, in-kind support, and money to run the campaign. They sent some wonderful national organizers down to help us, and we were able to win the campaign. We did that mostly by talking to people outside of the early voting places. It was a very close election, but we did win. And since then, we've spent 7 years trying to make the politicians keep their promise. Politicians like to promise transit and then steal the money to build roads, because roads are what developers want, and developers are who write checks. Transit writers do not write checks to politicians large enough for politicians to care about. So developers are what matter. And they've been trying to cut back our system or delay it to death since, and we continue the fight for it to this day. But that was the first banner we ever made. We actually made that banner by using huge paper stencils and stenciling the design. We don't do it that way anymore. We have achieved some stuff. This is a really wonderful bus stop in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Not only does it have a pull-out and a trash can and a bike rack, it has a swing. You can actually swing while you wait for your bus, and an all-weather shelter. And that is a very conservative community, but Mount Pleasant's been very aggressive about getting bus stops out there and has put in a bunch of them over the years. In Mount Pleasant, if you build a large development, an apartment complex, a shopping center, you will build a bus stop, a good one. And if you aren't on a bus line, or there isn't a place for you to put the bus stop, the town will simply pick somewhere else for you to build your bus stop. And you can spend your money building a bus stop on somebody else's property. In 2015, we began a campaign to get the bus back to the beach. The buses to the beach were canceled. They were never very reliable. You had to call and make a reservation, and they would or would not show up. And so we started with a March to the Sea, which we scheduled for the 18th of July, 2015. Now, after we set all of this up, the Emanuel 9 shooting took place, and one of our members was actually killed in downtown Charleston at the church. And but we pushed through with this anyway. It didn't get a huge response because the Ku Klux Klan said they were going to march on the state capitol to preserve the Confederate flag, and all the liberals in South Carolina had to go up and fight the Ku Klux Klan. But some of us went to the beach anyway. We had a good day, and we made our point, but we didn't get the bus back. In 2018, we fought to get the bus back to the beach again, to Folly Beach this time. And we painted this big banner, which we put at the entrance to Folly Beach. Folly Beach, governments really hate it when we do this sort of thing because it works. What we do is we have a projector. We design a banner in desktop publishing. Then we project it onto the canvas, which we painted. We trace it with pencils, and then the public helps paint it. This banner was painted at a farmer's market by about 25 different people. And we had a little girl come up to us last year and go, I painted that bee 6 years ago. Or that was 4 years ago. And she was a teenager then, but she still remembered helping paint that banner. So it's something that brings people together. And the government hates it because it's large and visible and it means something. The government wants us to be tired and poor, weak and scared. We do Transit Equity Day every year. We make these posters to go on the buses and we attach a silk rose to it. And we give these to the transit organization, which probably puts them on a bus. We have seen some on buses, and then loses them afterwards so we can replace them next year and spend another $35. However, on Transit Equity Day, we go big. And this year we made 800 pancake breakfasts in Rosa Parks' memory using her recipe. 200 of them went to an African-American Heritage Genealogy Conference in Lincolnville, South Carolina, which is a historically African-American community. And we had a good time. They were wonderful pancakes. We had warm apple compote and sausage to go on them. The Transit Authority told us they didn't see any need for us to bring them to the bus drivers, which I have long ago learned to ignore what they tell me. And I had a couple of people from the local Burning Man event that are part of the cacophony movement that just love undermining the government. And they managed to sneak in the back door of the Transit Authority's building and deliver 25 pancake breakfasts to the bus drivers who really enjoyed them, contrary to what the Transit Authority said would happen. This summer, we are truly going outside the box with some help from our Burning Man friends, who are great supporters of transit. And we're going to do a pirate-themed summer-long attempt to promote riding the bus to the beach. We put a lot of emphasis on the bus to the beach because it's symbolically important. To say that transit riders don't need to go to the beach is to say that they don't have rights, they're not human, and their children aren't valued. And we feel this isn't acceptable. Last year, only 630 people rode the bus to the beach in 3 months. That's $50 a passenger cost. So that's absolutely unsustainable. The Transit Authority doesn't do a very good job promoting it, and so we're going to promote it again this year. Does somebody want to say something? Hello?
Oh, no, I think you're good.
All right, but you'll notice that we have pirate flags, which should be here any day now, that have a bus for the skull, and that's actually just a stock photo, but some of our lady pirates are quite attractive. One thing we've done in the past, we have the transit timeline. This is a Lionel scale streetcar that goes back and forth on an 18-foot track. And we have the history of public transit in the Charleston area on one side, and there are blank things on the other where people can put their comments. And this was instrumental. We had a whole big stack of comments, most of which addressed the lack of bus stops. We took those to county council. We photocopied, gave it to them, and county council demanded the transit authority spend the $400,000 that had been appropriated to them by the state government to build bus stops. And they've been sitting on the money for 3 years. We make buttons. We have a button maker. This is a nice thing to do because it keeps the kids busy while you talk to mom and dad. This little girl did a very good job with her design, but we have a punch that will punch that out, and then we have a button maker that turns it into a button, and people wear the buttons. And we have buttons for different communities, different issues, different times of the year. For Transit Equity Day, for North Charleston, very popular one says "Leave the Slow Country." We've got one with a pineapple on it, which is the symbol of local tourism, and it says "Don't cook the planet; it's bad for tourism," referencing global warming. We painted a map of the Low Country. This is actually interesting. This canvas was painted during the solar eclipse. We put the paint down when the sun was disappearing, and it dried in the new sun. And the kids get these wooden train parts, and they design the transit system of their dreams, which they certainly do faster with a better faith than the politicians do. But we take this to farmers markets and other events, and the kids just design. We also take it to schools, and the kids can design the transit system they think the Low Country needs. This is the biggest project we're taking on. This is Century Forward. This is an attempt to envision 50 years into the future, the city of North Charleston, which we're now calling New Charleston. And we believe North Charleston is the future of the Low Country. Downtown is basically a tourist attraction now. It's very expensive to live there. They've gentrified most of the people out. They've lost most of their bus routes because the people that ride the bus no longer live there. Now it's full of millionaires that sit in their cars for hours at a time, which is what they want. And so what we're focusing on North Charleston, the idea is to get people to think about the future, which sounds pretty basic in Atlanta and New York and Chicago, but in Charleston, thinking about the future is genuinely radical. This is a city obsessed with its past. It's a city that most people think had its best time 150 or 175 years ago. And it's a city that has fought the future its entire existence. So getting people to think about the future here is a huge challenge. But that's some of the stuff we're working on. I don't know if there are any more slides or not. I believe that is the last slide. So I will unshare, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, William. And I just wanted to note that joining us on the call, we also have another member of the Best Friends of Low Country Transit. Someone who I've met in person, and just I felt his energy already. Like even like just talking with him on the phone, I just felt his energy. But Chris Action Jackson is on the call. Thank you for joining us today. But yeah, like I'm glad I brought you all on because I've always admired Best Friends of Low Country Transit, and especially William Hamilton. Like, quick story, I first met William Hamilton at the ATU headquarters right outside of DC in Silver Spring, and I just was wondering, like, wow, like this guy has a lot of energy. Like he knows what he wants, and it's just he captivated like is exactly what you need in organizing, especially in this day and age when transit is seen as an afterthought. So you know, it to just come to what you all have come up with, and the victories that you've won, you really have shown that engagement is important. And
well, there are over 100 wonderful people that have been on this journey with us at one time or another, including Chris, who still goes around the country talking to people at transit organizations that may have never had a visit from anyone. He's a big rig truck driver now, and he can tell you how that goes. But you know, we've lost a bunch of people. My wife began this struggle with us a long time ago. She passed away 3 years ago. We just lost Dave Crossley, who was our IT guy for a while. We lost Mary. It's very painful. I mean, the opposition sits there and goes, well, we'll do that 2 years later. We'll do that 5 years later. I mean, they've got a plan to build rapid transit lines in Charleston in 2050. I don't care. I don't care about transit in 2050. I'm sorry. I'm sure I should. But I'll have been dead for 20 years by then, by fair estimate. So I'm refused to get excited about that. And the idea that people should wait that long for modest amounts of progress is abusive. And I am reminded of that every time I look at the people we've lost.
Absolutely. And we're just kind of looking at all of the events that you all have done. They've always seemed like on the cusp and really engaging. Like when we look at the one you hosted the other day, the Queen Ruby's Pirate Party, like that's fun. It looks fun.
Well, that's next Wednesday. That hasn't happened yet.
Oh, that hasn't happened yet. Oh,
no. We had a little part. We had a little party at a local bar, and you know, when 5 women walk in dressed as pirates in fishnet stockings with swords, it does attract a lot of attention. And we're hoping that that's next Wednesday, and we're hoping that that this will get people to ride the boat. The theory behind this is the pirates hand out golden coins, and people can redeem those on the Isle of Palms for prizes and contests and all from the vendors there. We've had a hell of a problem because a teenager rode out to the Isle of Palms in a car 5 weeks ago and shot 5 people on the beach for spring break. And, this is the second time or the third time our efforts to make the bus to the beach work that's been disrupted by gun violence, which is, of course, what the opposition wants. They want guns to make public transit, common space, the urban life impossible. And the more lead that's flying around, the better the conservatives like it, because they hate us and they hate cities. And they can't gain control of the cities because that's where people learn to get along and to enjoy diversity and share things. And they don't like to share, and they don't like people that are different from them. And they don't like cities because they don't like those things. And one fast way to destroy a city is to throw bullets around in it carelessly. But that's next week, and it should be fun.
Wonderful. I mean, it looks fun, and I've always said that that's a great way to get people engaged, and it kind of nails down a lot of the anxiety that most organizers would have with going out and speaking to random strangers in public. But if you're in a pirate costume, or if you're like, I remember like when I was younger, I dressed up as a bear, and it was the Clean Air Bear for the Clean Air campaign. And I was convincing people to change their commutes to transit. And, I felt so much more comfortable being in a bear costume than just handing out flyers. And it's much more engaging. And it's fun. Like, who wouldn't talk to anybody who's in a pirate costume? But yeah, that's absolutely ingenious. And that looks like a lot of fun. So definitely, if you're down in Charleston, in that area.
And this will go on off and on all summer, depending on when we have people and they're ready to do something and all. And hopefully a lot of people will get on the bus. I mean, 630 people in a season is ridiculously inadequate, but that's what they want. They wanted to cancel it so they can say, oh, well, we ran the bus to the beach and nobody rode it. That just doesn't work. I mean, earlier this week, the lady responsible for publicizing the bus, the only thing she could say about the bus, since it was clear she'd never actually ridden the route or actually visited the stops in question, was, well, you can't take your chair. Well, that's not even true. You can take your chair. You just can't bring a huge pile of beach gear on the bus. But I mean, why the hell can't you take your chair if the bus is running damn near empty anyway? But if you don't ride, you don't know. Right. And she doesn't ride and she doesn't know, but hell, she's being paid $80,000 more a year to publicize public transit than I am. So she must be doing something right.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about the your biggest victory, which was the 2016 local referendum. You told us that ATU gave you all $125,000 for the campaign and you won it. How instrumental was ATU in willing to help you all with that?
Well, they funded things like the use of Nation Builder, and we had the great fortune to have a very brilliant Nicholas Bell who was able to get Nation Builder running. So we had the same functionality the Democrats would have with Vote Builder, and we printed a huge amount of literature, handed out everywhere we could, went door to door. They gave us the use of an algorithm to select voters to target, which I never fully understood, but it did some amazing things. One thing this algorithm would do is it would pick out somebody that had moved from a city that had strong public transit like New York or Denver or San Francisco and was now stuck in Charleston. And we'd drive past 25 houses that the algorithm said we had no need to visit, knock on this one door, and they open the door, go, oh my God, somebody gives a shit about transit. I'm tired of living in my car. How can these people stand it? And whoever wrote that algorithm was very sophisticated. It was extremely useful. And so that was useful. Then there was the money. Then they sent down some of their organizers. Their current treasurer was one, and he could work a community fair or a farmers market better than anybody I've ever seen. They sent down Fabricio, who beat the hell out of me every day, trying to beat my bad Southern habits out of me, and got a lot of that done. And there was a lot of help. They sent 3 of their staff down, rented a house for them, and they helped us out a lot. And we had a lot of volunteers that helped us. And it was a struggle. And I remember the night that, this is sort of a funny story, but it's true. We have a theme song for our organization. You can look it up after this is over. It's by Christopher Tin. It's called Wallow Yo Yamoni. And it is the song that the shamans in South Africa used to make it rain. and you'll just have to listen to it and find a version with subtitles. But these big black shamans go out on these hilltops and they sing this song and it rains. And the night of the election, we were behind, and Donald Trump was ahead. It was an ugly night, and people joke, well, you should sing the song and make the votes rain. And I said, well, I'm a white middle-aged guy. I mean, shouldn't you do that, Chris? You're black. And Chris said, no, you need to sing the song, which I didn't really understand. So I go stand up at the edge of Rivers Avenue on this picnic deck at this black nightclub and sing part of this African shaman song to make it rain. And then I go cry in the bathroom for 20 minutes because we've lost the election. I wasted all this time and money. And then I came out and we'd won because the absentee precincts we'd worked so hard had come in and we'd squeaked out a victory, which gave us the opportunity to spend the next 7 years fighting the politicians' attempts to steal the money and cut the thing back. We were promised a transit line that went all the way from Summerville, South Carolina, a small town about 25 miles outside Charleston, to downtown Charleston. Currently, we have something that runs from the fairgrounds 4 miles from Summerville and stops 4 miles outside Charleston in North Charleston, conveniently giving us rapid transit where black people are, but not rapid transit that would allow black people to get where white people are. I wonder why that is. And it's insane for the city. They need the people to get to work, but they decide they need a dog walking park under I-26 more than they need to use the old railroad line to run a bus rapid transit line on. So I guess rich people's dogs are more important than the people that fry your hamburgers and make beds at your hotels, even though that's how you make your money. Racism is an astonishing thing. It's more important than money. I didn't think anything was more important than money in America, but now I know.
Absolutely. We got
come on, Chris.
On here. How you doing, sir?
Phenomenal. I just arrived in Atlanta as a trucker. I'm doing great. How about y'all?
Good in you. We were just hearing Jack's stories about y'all doing all this organizing. You really let him sing up in front of all them people?
He did it, and we won it. It is accurate what he stated. I'm serious. We was about behind, looked like almost 200 votes. And everybody was tired. Everybody was kind of down. And he did that, belched it out loud outside. And we start hearing applause in the little nightclub. And we all came off the little outside porch to go in. And no lie, we was ahead like 60 votes, and it kept going up, and we won the referendum. And it was a phenomenal moment because we worked hard for like 2 to 3 straight months, morning, noon, and night. Cussed out, told we were stupid. Man, it was crazy. People trying to hurt us or push us away from certain areas, calling the police and lying, saying we weren't in the right, footage of being from a poll, and it wasn't the case, but we didn't quit. And to everyone on this call, don't quit. Whatever we're fighting for, whatever you're trying to see to change, it does get weary. Don't quit.
Absolutely, and definitely worth to follow by, and especially with the New Century plan and what may be probably one of the most ambitious bills for transit-oriented development by Representative Marvin Pendarvis. But hopefully that goes through and we could see that vision come sooner than 2050, because
I think I need to add a section to the bill requiring transgendered abortionists to be executed by flamethrowers, so the legislature will take an interest in the legislation. It was a disaster. We didn't get much action on it this session, but nobody got any action on anything important. It was just about guns and abortion.
Oh, wow.
And so it's okay to shoot people after they're born, but before they're born, they're sacred. Welcome to South Carolina.
Yeah.
Well, I have to go out and sing that song again.
Yeah. We'll definitely see if we can push that bill back. I wanted to hand it over to the audience to see if you all had any questions for Best Friends of Low Country Transit. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to take yourself off mute and fire away. Any questions? Any questions, comments?
I would note that when Chris comes to your town, he loves to visit with people, and it usually perks up your volunteers.
Oh, absolutely. Chris, tell me about when you went to Indiana.
No audio, Chris.
Yeah, you're on mute.
Oh, it was awesome. Hello, Miss Sheila. It was phenomenal. I had my little nephew with me. He was out learning. He's 17 now. He was 16 at the moment, and it was awesome. We got to meet up with Sheila and some of the people there. I was able to get over there. It was awesome. Just to hear what's going on and what different people are doing. And it's always good to hear what other cities, what other states are doing. And then be able to share what we were doing over in South Carolina. And it was awesome. Sheila, y'all are awesome. Keep fighting. I mean, just to give some insight on, what I've learned doing this stuff. And then just to hear what they're dealing with and telling them, I understand, but don't quit. That's my number one goal. We had a good time. We got to talk about 30 to 40 minutes. It didn't take long. Like I said, if I can be of any assistance, I will. I'm all over the place. I go in about 38 states in any given 2-week period, anywhere between 14 to 20 states. Daily, I'm in about 3 or 4 states. I'm in Atlanta this weekend. Next weekend, I'll be in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And I just like to, connect, especially with the transit and the advocacy of that, but anything for that matter. I'll help in any way I can. We had an awesome time in Indiana. Y'all doing some great things. It was good to see some of the legislature and some of the politicians on board and to hear what they had to say. We was able to do a 3-way with a few of the board members. And it's always good for them to hear a stranger as well. But for the same cause in another area, to know that we're not alone. So we had a good time. I enjoyed it, Bakari. I really did. And I thank them for welcoming me.
And as such, Chris also came down to Atlanta and was just wowed by everything that we had down there. And it was good. It was good. Like if you ever get a chance, and we're definitely going to set it up to where if Chris is going around the country and he's in your town, we'll see if you can link up with that. But yes, it's definitely helpful to have someone who's mobile like that to go and spread the goodwill, because Fort Wayne, Indiana has definitely been picking up, with them gonna be a stop on the future Amtrak that's gonna go through the Midwest. So it's definitely helped, and to hear, like from what you said, Chris, like to hear from an outsider's perspective, like sometimes it's going into these cities and telling folks of how valuable your city is to the larger output of America as a whole. Like when you look at Fort Wayne as being the second largest city in Indiana with not having any rail service, that's something that to really look at of like, how are you connecting a city? Same thing with Charleston. You all stations in North Charleston, away from the tourist trap that is downtown Charleston. So that's definitely of importance of making that a hub. So hopefully that will be the spark to try to see if you can put in that line going to Somerville.
Hey, Bakari.
Hi, Cher, how are you?
Oh, Lord Jesus, just juggling a million things, but I just want to thank William for taking the time to be on this call, and also thank him for his lifelong work with transit equity. I agree with everything that he said. I also am very concerned and frustrated that more people are not advocating for transit. William, I don't know if you know this, but Reverend Jesse Jackson had a call for transit back in the 80s. He was saying that bullet trains and rail was the way to go. He said as the United States population continued to increase, that it is clear that we need to get serious about rapid transit in the United States and moving massive amount of people as they do in Japan with the bullet trains and other modes of transportation that we are behind. And obviously they didn't take it seriously. He also at the same time talked about why we should be supporting farmers, and he had Iowa farmers at a Rainbow Push on a number of occasions. That said, I believe that until we can get the right politicians in office across this nation, especially in state capitals and on city councils, that we need to do a better job of finding allies. And I'm trying to get my camera on, but for some reason it's not wanting to cooperate.
We can hear you fine.
Okay, so what I think that we need to do is, as I said, do a better job of finding supporters with money. I'm not sure what the NAACP is doing. I'm a lifetime member. I don't know if there's anybody on this call that's from the NAACP, but I think there are a couple things we need to do, and I wish I had more time to help do it. But I believe that we should, if no one has done it already, we should contact Rosa Parks' family, and we should also contact the policymakers at the NAACP and ask them for their support in our national initiatives, because this is a fight that should not be a partisan fight, but it is. But with that, I think we should be able to gain more traction. And William, thank you for sharing your story about being legally blind. And this is one thing that I will do. The head of the ARC, the Atlanta Regional Commission, the chairman of the board, I can't think of his name right now, but he is legally blind. And he told his story at the Atlanta Regional Commission's Regional Leadership Institute, RLI Institute, back in September. Kerry Armstrong, that's his name. This man, this is a Caucasian man. He is very humble. He is very well connected in Metro Atlanta and across the country. And he told his story about being diagnosed. He is legally blind. So he said, I'm not able to drive. He supports transit. So while he may not be able to do this alone, he is an influencer. And the organization that he is chairman of the board of, they have influence. So we need to figure out how to connect him and other people who are wealthy, who are in those types of positions, to get them to do more and get their friends to do more. Otherwise, we're just blowing, I mean, literally, we're just like fish out of water.
Well, yesterday we were trying to go from Goose Creek, where a member of my staff who can drive was, over to Somerville, and it took us 35 minutes to travel 10 miles. And it was, I don't understand how they can stand it. I mean, then we had to get together for lunch, and it took somebody 23 minutes to travel 8 miles. These people had cars.
And then they want to keep mixing the bus rapid transit and light rail. They keep mixing it in with traffic. No, even if it costs too much to tunnel, well, put it above ground. Do what you need to do. I mean, this is 2023. You guys, stop playing.
Well, I mean, and they didn't even run it. They gave up on going to Charleston altogether. They're stopping on Reynolds Avenue, and it's going to be 5 miles in mixed traffic and flooding.
Right.
It won't work. And I told him at the CARTA meeting on Wednesday, I said, you know, we're going to fight this when you cut the ribbon. We're going to fight this when you're building. We're going to fight it when it's operating. You're not going to turn the place our transit line should go to into a dog walking park for rich people without starting a class war.
Right.
They didn't
And
like that very much.
The tourism industry supports transit. So why aren't they putting their money where their mouth is? They know that when people travel from city to city, they're not trying to buy a car and pay for parking. You know, they want.
Well, we have shuttle buses for tourists around the historic district that are fairly reliable. But the buses which bring people to work in the historic district are a much lower priority. And CARTA dropped 960 hours of service last month. 960 hours when a bus was scheduled to run and there was no vehicle on the line in a single month.
Yeah. Yeah, but they should be separate. You know, it should be one and the same. You know what I'm saying? Like when I go to California, to Los Angeles, you know, you got all of these different bus and transit choices. You know, you're not necessarily fighting with all of these individual yuppie or wealthy tour buses. There are tour buses, don't get me wrong, but we're talking about, for the most part, you have so many choices of public transit of what you can accept. We have really got to figure out, I mean, Buttigieg and whoever the woman is that's with the FTA, what's her name? That everybody's bragging about. Yeah, Nunes. I mean, where is her on this? I mean, what are they doing other than, you know, they got titles? Are they going to come on this call? You know, Hank Johnson can't do it by himself. The transportation committee and the House and the Senate, I think, are where we are. But what about the people in the street, the people who, and policymakers, the decision maker, these wealthy corporations? Where are they? All of these billionaires who have decided to give away half their wealth. Any of them putting half their wealth in transit?
That is a good question, because I've always wondered about.
See what I'm saying?
I've always wondered about smaller airports. And Charleston does seem like a big enough city to where they could have some kind of public transit coming out of their airport. I mean, are there any buses that do advertise this from CARTA about transit from the airport to downtown?
They had an express bus that went from the airport to downtown, but didn't get a lot of riders. And of course, the airport is in cahoots with the cab drivers and the rideshare companies. They really don't want people to know about the bus. We do have the number 11 bus, which runs from the airport to downtown, but that's a local. I mean, it takes an hour and a half, but it is operating, and that's how people that work at the airport get to work. Gotcha. And it didn't have a stop. It didn't have a bench or anything for years. And I just told Mayor Page of Mount Pleasant, she said, well, is there anything you want me to tell the airport authority? I said, yeah, tell them that if they don't have a bench out in front of that terminal by the Monday before Thanksgiving, on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we're going to go down there and lay down the traffic lanes and lock up their traffic apron the day before Thanksgiving, and they can haul us off to jail and we'll replace us with more people. Happy Thanksgiving. And by God, they found a bench the next day. They tell you that you get more flies with honey than vinegar in the South. But what I've learned is that massa respects the whip.
Oh, wow. Yeah. We got a question from Sheila. Sheila, go ahead.
I just wanted to add on. I dropped Jane English information in the chat. She's with the NAACP Environmental Justice. She holds a monthly call. The next call will be on Wednesday, May the 24th at 8 p.m. Central Time. So if you send her an email to get on her listserv so that you can join in and tell your story about how you would like the NAACP. I'm also a lifetime member of the NAACP, past president, Fort Wayne branch 3049. So I did drop that information in the chat. Thank you.
Oh, no, we know Jane. She used to be on these calls, but now there's someone else that's supposed to be on these calls. And I'm not sure who that person is, but there is someone who's assigned to these calls, but as part of their EJI and transit initiative, So I don't know where that person is. I don't know if the NAACP priorities have changed, but they are aware of this group. But I'm sorry, the NAACP needs to step it up.
Yeah, and I've been
my
reaching
other
out to her.
question is, has anyone reached out to Rosa Parks' family to see where they are? We're using her image and we should, but has anyone reached out to her family, and are they willing, anybody in the family willing to participate with us with transit equity as we move forward? Maybe this is a good time to reach out to her family to see if they want to be a part of transit equity for 2024.
Her niece just put out a book about her with some of her recipes and personal stories and all. You might reach out to that author.
That'd be good. And yeah, we have been reaching out to the new EJ director of NAACP, and we've had a couple of meetings, and we even told them about the Railroad Workers United project. So hopefully they will come on to that, because that would be a huge boost to that. So yeah, we're working on that. But any other questions for William or Best Friends of Low Country Transit?
Well, I just want to note that I haven't done any of this alone. 100 wonderful people have worked long and hard, rainy days, cold days, days when no one showed up. And particularly through the period when I lost my wife, and they picked me up, and they're picking me up right now. And I wouldn't be here without their help. The last 3 years have been horrifically hard. We lost Dave Crossley, who was homeless on the street up in Pennsylvania in December and didn't even find out about it for a month and a half. Good people. And a society that should treat them all better and has the money to do so. Queen Ruby is from 1623, and she can't figure out why a technologically advanced society as rich as ours still has homeless people. The pirate queen is completely baffled. She's hiding out from the government and camping out with the homeless in Charleston in our story, while she tries to figure out how to get back to her time. So we're using this pirate story to highlight social justice issues.
Wonderful. Well, definitely we'll put the pirate information into the chat. William, thank you so much for sharing all of that. And we'll definitely dedicate this to everyone that we've lost within the struggle. But thank you so much for joining us.
I thank everyone for being here and for being part of the struggle. It'd be harder alone, for absolute certain.
Absolutely.